How's everybody doing this afternoon? You see the article? I was surprised I saw it on Forbes, so I think that's what kind of piqued my interest. So I'll let a few people fall in. So once again, it was on Forbes. You see it. 8 best cybersecurity certifications of 2023. Shout out to Forbes. Everybody's jumping into the cybersecurity game. Give me a one in the chat if you can hear me. Like I said, getting started. TGIF. Glad it's Friday. I'm once again, trying to get it started. Trying to do a lunch and learn. I appreciate it. Yeah, I know how we do it. If y'all got any tech questions or specifically cybersecurity, just put them in the chat. Shout out to Tech RX. Glad he could join me. Shout out to Wilton. I ain't seen him in a while. But for the people that don't know me, my name is Professor Black Ops. I've been in tech for 35 years. I've been in cybersecurity for 15 years. Shout out to John. I always always support me. I've been in cybersecurity for 15 years. Big companies I worked for Department of Defense for 10 years as a consultant. I did everything from programming to DBA, websites, web admin, application admin, DBA. I got my first certification in 1995, which was Oracle DBA. That's how I made my first bag. So shout out to Oracle. Oracle's kind of, I won't say fading away because they weren't part of that 9 billion government cloud grant or RFP they put out. Oracle was actually the fourth company. I was surprised they actually won. I'm new to the channel, just researching to figure out what to switch to in tech. It's big. Cybersecurity is big, Denise. I tell a lot of people, depending on your background, I'm a GRC guy, governance, risk, and compliance. That means basically I do IT auditing. Everybody heard of the big certs, HIPAA, NIST for government, FERPA for education. I've done a little bit of it. CGIS is for FBI and state police. So currently, I work for a fintech, a very large fintech, and I do IT compliance. My specialty is our IRS Pub 1075, which is basically security for people who deal with the IRS. You'd be surprised how many people send files to the IRS or get back. They call offset files. And a lot of times, if you owe somebody, they take your tax return. So that's dealing with the IRS. So my channel is kind of moving more to GRC and cloud. So that's kind of what I talk about. But once again, I've been in IT forever. So if you have a specific question, the cool thing is, Denise, in this space, there's a ton of people. Black Heights, one of my main guys, he does tech sales, which is a little different. Tech G, if you just getting off, you want to do something technical wise, he does your basic certs. Shout out to Keep It Techie, Linux, women in Linux. I put the women in Linux. I kind of like to hook up women with women. So check out Women in Linux. I'll put their information in the chat in a minute. They're super good. But the space is so big. Tech is really for everybody. I tell everybody to get it. I've been getting the bag in tech for about 20 years. So shout out to tech. Let's see. My background is procurement. I was listening to something yesterday about GRC. Hey everyone, I will listen to Will as well. Oh yeah, shout out. The cool thing with procurement, I do a lot of procurement because procurement deals with new companies, new projects, new services coming into companies. I used to do that for the state of Indiana. Any new software that would hit their network, I had to do a security review on it. So part of procurement now is check the security of the program. Then the next big thing is part of GRC is data privacy. CCPA is data privacy for California. GDPR is Europe. CPDR, Virginia's real big on data privacy in New York. So I actually got a couple videos on that, Denise, just go check my channel. Just search for data privacy and GRC. I'll drop it in there too. I have a playlist for GRC. I think that's a hidden gem, especially with procurement. I think you can link those together. Once again, when companies now buy anything or tech sales, I review the security of any project that would came into the part of the state of Indiana. So what does that mean? Well, what are you using it for? If you're using it for a certain level, the data classification is going to tell you what security you need to be at, Denise. So once again, just hit me up. Shout out to Struggle Security. If you red team penetration testing, I put that out on Struggle Security. So my man gonna drop his channel in there. Tech RS is that I believe that's engineering cannabis. He does AI and ML, so I have guys drop their channel in there for you, Denise. You can go check those out. And two is if you go to my about tab, if you want to set up a call, which I'm sure people have. I haven't checked my email in 3 days. Bad about that. Denise, if you want to hook up and we get on a Zoom call and just chat about GRC procurement. The other thing I did, which was a surprise on that, is I appreciate that RPA is I review a lot of procurement contracts, make sure there's security language in there, make sure termination for convenience. So I work with a lot of lawyers a lot of times, which surprised me, Denise. So I think that's a hidden gem. Procurement, once again, you got to do a risk assessment now when anything coming into especially a large or medium size company. If you're not, you're negligent. Because shout out to Struggle Security. We know those nation states are, if you're not doing your third party assessments, especially with moving, getting everybody hacked. That's a perfect example of people not taking their security well. So let's get out on these 8 best security. Once again, Denise, hit my about tab. You'll see professorblackops@gmail.com if you want to just have a quick chat, talk about procurement. Once again, I'm gonna have a couple lawyers on, and that's kind of what they do. They review the legal part of that. Then once again, the cybersecurity part, I usually do, and we put that together. Procurement leads, and then usually there's a project management in procurement. So once again, let's hit it. The 8 best cybersecurity certification 23. What surprised me is Forbes are doing it. Shout out to Fridge. He's up and coming. GRC NIST 800-53. That's my specialty. Shout out to Fridge. 8 best security search. Let's see what Forbes say. They the big money maker. I was surprised. Forbes was talking about the best security search. A couple of these I disagree with, and we'll chat. And I'm sure I dropped the link midway. I don't know if Struggle Security out there selling big contracts. He might be busy. Shout out to Tech RX. I think that's engineering cannabis. Shout out Fridge might come up. He got that NIST background. We can chop it up. But now let's hit these certs. We know certs aren't the end all be all, but once again, especially if you don't have a degree, I think that's the next best thing to have is a certification. Then even if you have a boot camp, I think you need your certification to validate your boot camp. So we can discuss that. A lot of people think the boot camp give you more experience, but that's just kind of my blueprint at a high level is get your certification, hit the help desk, hit junior programmer, hit junior networking, get to a company, your company will pay for your degree. So especially nowadays, the ROI on degrees, when I went, it was super cheap. Now there's, you can spend $100,000 and come out making $12. So I think that's the blueprint, right? Get you some certs, get in, your job will pay for your degree while you working at your job, you getting your experience. Then that'll tell you till you get to touch real world. Some things you think you'll like, then you don't. I love programming. A lot of people hate programming, but that's how I got started in the game. Let's see. Oh, Wilton has a question, and we're gonna get started. I have a question regarding a number added to the username on your YouTube comment. I know this adding comments on your video. Explanation wise, this I think it's a nonce. They try to generate a number. So behind the scenes, YouTube know what that number is. As a hacker, I could really go through and just start trying to fish you because I know your name. So now I got to know your name and your number. Well, that's a little higher. So it's called a nonce. If you look at that up on a website, it's usually a number generated added to your identification on YouTube, which is your name. That makes it a little harder. So people just can't randomly use your username and attack you. So that's pretty common. A lot of times you don't see it behind the scenes in your session memory variable. They put those numbers usually behind there where you can't see it. So I think they just went ahead and attached it to your username. Once again, it's called a nonce on a web server. So if you, once again, you Google that, and it's called assault. Two, where you generate something added to your password, added to your identification number. So now a hacker just can't randomly go through and try to generate that. So now they got to generate your name and a number. That makes it a little harder. Let's see. My main professor, Black Ops, I'm 40 drive 40 driving Uber at night with no certification, trying to make six-figure techs. Any suggestions? Um, we have to talk with no certs. Once again, what part of tech you trying to get in? What's your experience? Is it just driving Uber? Do you have another background? You heard me talking about Denise. If you got procurement, we can put that with GRC. If you teach, or we just kind of figure out. Once again, this domain is so big. That's why I always send people to other people. So I would just kind of need to talk to you. Once again, look up Black Heights to help you. I mean, I'll help you, but Black Heights, he's got that more career development down. Textual Tatter, I'm not fond of his name, but shout out to him. He's the one guy I know worked in the SOC besides Struggle Security. So I always send people, if you're doing SOC, which is Security Operations Center, which is kind of a different part of cybersecurity. I've seen you to those. So TechRX, we will have to get together. And the two is, do you want to get in artificial intelligence, data privacy, data engineering? This domain is so big, so I would have to talk to you and get a little of your background, TechRX. And once again, I'll send you to a couple more people. Once again, they do a little more of the career development than I do. I kind of supplement what they do. But shout out to them. But yeah, once again, ProfessorBlackOps@gmail.com. Check my about on my YouTube, and we can definitely chat it up. Once again, I'm behind on my email. I'm gonna get to it today. I had to find the requirements for a GRC going into a SIM for a NIST 800-53 installation. It was like, what do we need to log into the SIM, PBO? I was like, give me a minute, I'll figure it out, right? So what was the logging things you need to put in the SIM? So that's what I've been doing this week. So once again, let's see what the 8 best cybersecurity certs that shout out to Helmet that Forbes said. We know Forbes is about the big money, so I think they're gonna hit you with everything. So let's get into the article. In a increasingly connected world, cyber attacks, hackers are ever-present realities for these working in information technology. Cybersecurity certification is an excellent way to build practical knowledge of how to protect against security threats. Top-rated credentials are also conducive to job mobility, maintaining your organization reputation. Earning a reputable cybersecurity certification requires an investment, as we outlined this page, but it can pay off. And shout out to my man. I'll think of his name in a minute. He asked me this question, and I gave him shout out last video. How much money what percentage of your salary do you invest in yourself every year? Right. I just always thought that was deep. I always just thought that was a deep statement. How much money do you invest in yourself every year? Maddox asked me that. Shout out to Maddox. I always tell him I was going to give him credit for that. And that always stuck to me. I was having a good discussion with one of my good friends' wife, and she's doing medical coding, and she's struggling. It's a lot of money. So I asked her, how much do you invest in yourself, and what is that worth? Right. And I told her I done failed certs. Hell, I'm old, man. I failed CISP, man. That was like $650. I think that was 2005. Hell, I think it's $750 now, right? So I've been studying for that. I'm like, oh my God, I should have took it again. So, but how much are you going to invest in yourself? Each year I try to focus on certain parts of technology to learn and to make me better, right? Even at my age and my experience, artificial intelligence is not new, but it's different. Machine learning is different. Cloud is totally different, right? I got a whole bunch of AWS certs in 2022. Why did I do that? All your security is going to be in the cloud in the future, all right? So in the cloud, security is a little different than on-prem, right? So how are you doing MFA in the cloud? How are you doing zero trust in the cloud? How are you doing security groups? So what can talk to what? Are you doing the 3-tier? Are you doing database PaaS? Are you doing database SaaS? Are you going back to your prem for your database, or multi-cloud? Is your database in Oracle, but most of your infrastructure on AWS, right? You do a fast connection between each one of those. The cybersecurity is just a big, it's a big domain, which is cool because there's a lot of money on it. So shout out to Chaos Rain. Let's see. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. So that's the question, and that's what I always ask. But how much of your salary, or what percentage of your salary are you investing in yourself? Right. And two is, if you invest in yourself, right, like anything, it'll start paying itself back. Like I remember spending a ton of money on Oracle stuff in 2000. But by 2007, I was making six figures, right? As an Oracle DBA. Then I got on at DoD as a consultant, and I rolled that for a decade, right? It was just hot, and that's the cool thing about tech too, is once you get on high technology, you can ride it out for you can ride it out for a decade. I wrote Oracle database for a decade, then I went to Java, Oracle, and PL SQL. I did that for another decade. Then once again, I switched over to NIST and GRC. I was patching stuff at DoD, and I became aware of or GRC or security requirements. So that's actually how I got in security. So once again, what is cybersecurity certifications and why pursue one? And there's a ton of channels on here. I'm sure I know Struggle Security did a few. Black Heights done a few. Will done a few. Keep It Techie done a few. So certifications is a huge discussion in the space. Cybersecurity verifies that you have extensive demonstrated knowledge of issue hacking and cyber attacks. Certifications also show that you understand best practices and strategies for maintaining organization and privacy security. Through earning certificates, IT professionals benefit from a detailed training module, exam prep material, also with expertise in cybersecurity certifications, bring credibility to employees' organizations. If you're starting out wondering how to get a cybersecurity entry level certifications, are a great place to begin. Likewise, if you're seeking more advanced roles with higher cybersecurity salaries, certification can help you meet the goal by bolstering your resume. And two is, and I was interviewing for a while. A lot of HR, if you don't have certain certs in there, they, especially on the D, they put them in blue up there. These are required. So a lot of times, or at worst, they're optional. And two is, I've talked to a lot of recruiters and a lot of people that hire in HR is, if they put a job and they get 200 resumes, they using search to cut their pool down. That doesn't make it right or wrong, right? But that's what they use to cut. So even if you got, like, I got a lot of years of experience, but I know I missed out a couple because I didn't have a CISSP, right? That was their bar to cut, right? So that's one reason I'm studying to go ahead and get it. So, which is not, I don't see that. I don't think that's right, but hey, it's their organization. Two is, a lot of times, and I tell people this, most of the jobs out there are pre-filled. Companies got to post jobs outside even when they have internal candidates, right? So the majority of my jobs, I would say 90% of my jobs, I got it because I knew somebody in that organization. When you get old and you work for big companies, that's why I tell people find out when I say this, go work on a couple big contracts. Go work for PricewaterhouseCoopers if you can. Go work for Meta. That's super hard. But there's a khaki. There's a ton of federal contractors that be looking for bodies. Because once you get in there, my first DoD contract, I think we had 550 programmers. So when I got cool with those guys, when those guys left and went to other places, they would call me up and be like, "Hey, PPO, we got an opening. It's the salary. You want me to put your resume in, or I could take your resume to HR?" Then that makes sure you get through HR. So if they hand carry your resume and tell their boss is going to even at least look at your resume, right? Well, a lot of times I don't think you get looked at, right? The HR scanner just takes you out the box, right? So certification program varies in training and exams. Certification provide offer a multi-day, multi-part modules that can be completed in person, online, or hybrid. Many certifications do not require training and coursework, but candidates are encouraged to prepare on their own time. Right. And I think, shout out to Struggle Security, right? Yeah, I think he takes all of his certs in his house now. You could do that. For some reason, I don't trust the system, and I live by a bunch of colleges and a bunch of testing centers. So I usually drive to the center because I don't want them coming with no BS. I don't trust that stuff. So I usually drive to a testing center. For some reason, I like that better too. I feel like I'm in the testing area. You know, I'm there. The camera's on me. Ain't no excuses. Let's roll our sleeves up and get busy though. So everybody had in their way, but now, like I said, you can test from your house. A lot of people are doing that. I enjoy analytics and would like to make figures in 6 months. I enjoy analytics. I probably have to probably analytics. I'm an AWS guy, and they got their two. I'm thinking about AWS has data engineering, I think machine learning, and we could look this after this. I mean, after I read through this, they had a couple, and I think they actually have artificial intelligence using the AWS infrastructure. AWS has a lot of services that help you with analytics until you get the basics of that math part, right? What does it mean? What is the mode? What is regression? Right. So when you get to some advanced analytics, what's up, game over? Those are kind of what they help you on. So let's keep going. So now we're going to point to the Pacific Search. The one I had that I let expire because I didn't take my continuing education. I'm not happy with. I had my Security Plus. I want to say 2007. I had my Security Plus and I let it lapse. When you're on DoD contracts, we'll talk about it. You said they're 8570. These are certifications you need to have to work a certain job at DoD. So long story short, I was a DBA. They wanted me to have. Originally, they said the CISP. I missed it by 6 questions. Then when they checked, they said you just really need a Security Plus. So I studied for like a week, took the Security Plus because CISP was so much harder. I passed it, and I got lazy. I'm like, I'm good. So I didn't go back and retest for the CISP, which was a major mistake by me. Major mistake. So let's see what's going on with the Security Plus. That's one of the definitely, I think, one of the bedrock certs in cybersecurity. I think it's a good mid-level cert. Teach you basics. Once again, it's accepted by the DoD 8570, so it apply for a lot of jobs, for consulting jobs. A lot of consulting companies want you to have this before they put you on site. So once again, Security Plus recognized as a leading global certifications. CompTIA is a Security Plus is a basic essential credential that validates core skills for cybersecurity professionals. This designation is considered a stepping stone to mid-level roles and certified the DoD 8570 compliance. Students learn to navigate via real-world examples and will gain technical expertise in architecture, design, implementation, operations, incident response, governance, compliance, and more. You get 90 minutes. You complete a self-study course, 40, 50 hours. Professionals who may benefit: network, cloud engineer, IT managers, security administrators, IT auditors, security engineers, and analysts. Anything you really do in cybersecurity, I think this is the base cert you should have for me. I mean, a lot of people don't think CompTIA is a great cert. It's not the best cert, but if it's good for DoD 8570 and I needed to get in the door, once again, that's what I took. That's what I had. I might take it again. I've been debating it. So let's see what we got. And that's a good cert. Let's see. The company I work for, which is weird, I studied a lot for AWS, but Microsoft is embedded in and especially in a lot of private companies. Microsoft is in there because a lot of people had AD, a lot of people had Outlook, and people just moved to Office 365 and just moved their on-prem infrastructure to the cloud. So I probably, once I get past the CISP, I probably take the Microsoft certifications because I need to put those two together because I look at a lot of Microsoft 365 stuff and Azure stuff. I'm always doing cybersecurity stuff on Azure. So I got to get a lot better at that. So Microsoft Certified Security Compliance and Identity Fundamentals. This certification is a great option for individuals seeking a comprehensive understanding of Microsoft security compliance and identity solutions. It's recommended that prospective students be familiar with Microsoft Azure, Microsoft 365. They should have a background in networking or cloud for IT. Exam is 45 minutes. Pre-preparation times vary. Microsoft offered 2 options for exam preparation: a free 4-part learning path series with walkthrough exam essentials at your own pace, or a fee-based 6-hour virtual session facilitated by instructors. I always start with the free to see how I'm doing. If I'm not doing well, I go to the pay. Professionals who might benefit: IT professionals seeking new credentials, cybersecurity students looking to complement their studies, and anyone interested in a Microsoft CI solution. And for me, Microsoft is such a big player. I think they're gonna catch Amazon probably in the next 5 or 6 years, especially in that government space. So I will be definitely talking about that more on my channel. Like I said, I got to get better. Greetings, Kenny. I got to get better at my Microsoft stuff. I'm decent at it, but I got to get much, much better, right? We always talking about six figures. Shout out to Tam. They talk about 200, 300, 400,000. You got to master stuff, right? You can't be tiptoeing. Oh, that's on my, that's funny, Ken. I'm that's third on my list. Long story short, CRCS, and I'm gonna actually talk about this in a minute, Ken. I'm glad you brought that up. I think risk as part of GRC, that's the risk. Comment if I'm wrong, Ken. That's the risk part of that. RMF versus risk management framework. I think that's the risk certification that will round off your cybersecurity knowledge, right? If you want to go kind of less technical, I always call it more legal. I think that risk is, especially now with GDPR, data privacy, that legal standpoint, I think that's a killer. Certain. We actually going to talk about that in the end because they didn't mention that in this. The top 8 for Forbes didn't mention that, so we're actually going to look up that. I'm glad Ken brought that up, and I'm gonna look up CIPP, which is the data privacy base one for the United States. And once again, with states making their own privacy up, I work with legal a lot, and we talk about different data privacies in different states. And I think that's going. Now I know that's part of cybersecurity. That's part of cybersecurity we don't talk about. It really leans more legal, but that's a nice slice in the middle. We're gonna talk about that. Shout out to Ken right there. But yeah, we're gonna bring up that risk once again. I think that's a hidden gem, and a lot of big companies are trying to struggle with trying to figure that out. But big dog I'm studying for, which is not going well, the CISP, Certified Information System Security Professional. This is the big dog. All the big managers have it. A lot of CISOs having it. So I'm old and I deal with senior management, senior tech people. So this is the one everybody wants you to have. And it's the 8570. It's the third level. It's like 1, 2, 3. 3 is the top level. CISP's at the top of that level, right? So, oh wow, they said this is an intermediate level cert. That is incorrect. It's highly ranked in the cybersecurity. The credential serve professional seeking knowledge of security design, implementation, management should have at least, this is the kicker with a lot of people don't realize this. CSP should have at least 5 years of experience to qualify for the exam, right? Individuals with less experience may pursue an associate certification. If you can't get the big dog professional with 5 years, you should wait. You should start off with the Security Plus, get your 5 years up, then take the CISP. It's a 4-hour exam, contains between 125 and 75 questions. A lot of times they feed you questions to see if they're gonna put them on the next exam, including classroom-based training, online session led by instructors, online self-paced modules. That's what I'm doing. So once again, I think it's 4 hours. First time I took it, we did it like a Scantron with the bubble, with the number 2 pencil filling out bubbles. That's what we was doing in 2005. So it was long, man, and a lot of people were stressing in there. Once again, I missed it by 6 questions. So once again, that time to complete, you need at least 5 years. Professionals who may benefit. How you gonna call this mid-level when you talking about C-level executives, directors of information security, system security engineers, analysts, architects, auditors, and consultants, but they call it a mid-level. How you an intermediate level, but you talking about the C-suite taking it? Come on, Forbes. We gotta do better, man. I ain't messing with Forbes. I'm gonna write them a very stern letter. No, I'm just playing, but no, they're incorrect. I know a lot of CISOs are taking it. I know a lot of CIOs got it. So that is the big daddy inside security is the CISP. For me, though, it's really a management test. When you get done, you can't configure a firewall. It's an inch deep, but 5,000 miles long because you're hitting on a lot of subjects, right? So it is what it is. Once again, if you go on Indeed, you put CISSP in, there's a lot of people look for it. A lot of people are making it required, which is kind of scary. So Let's keep going. I like the CISM, but if I got the CISP, I probably wouldn't take the CISM. Identity for security managers looking to advance into management level. ISACA provides technical knowledge related to security governance, risk, incident management, program development, in addition to passionate. The system candidate must demonstrate full-time industry experience, kind of like the CISP, and can complete an application. Candidates must have 5 years of full-time security management work. Exam itself, once again, is 4 hours. Once again, mid-level. So for me, I'm sure it's not, but I always think the CISP and the CISM is overlap. If you got the P there, if you got the M, I think they kind of overlap and can kind of cancel each other. I wouldn't say cancel each other. More management, the other was kind of more technical, but for me, they're kind of right at the same level and have a lot of crossover. The one I might take if I ever pass the CISP is the CISA. Uh, Professional wants mid and entry level jobs can benefit for the certification. Five domains: information system auditing, governance, management of IT, information system acquisition, development, information system operation and business reliance, protection of information assets. The CISM certification candidate must pass the exam, apply for certification with the appropriate industry credentials. Once again, it's 4 hours, 150 multiple choice. Candidate must have, once again, 5 years of experience in information system auditing, control, and security. And that means somebody's got to recommend you with that experience. It's just not you. Somebody's got to put their license on the line and recommend you for to say that they work with you and you can vouch for your years of experience. So that's one thing is a little different with both of those. See, checking to see if anybody's putting anything in the chat. So everybody's good. Let's keep rolling. Once again, if you got any tech questions or cybersecurity questions, just put them in the chat. We can definitely get to it. But once again, I put the link inside the description. So once again, I just thought it was a little interesting that Forbes put out their top 8. GAC, Security Essentials of Certification. The entry level credential is Great Cybersecurity Certification for Beginners. The designation moves practitioner beyond basic knowledge, equipping them with tactical skills, IT roles that navigates active defense, cryptography, defensible network architecture, security policy, web security. The exam requires proctoring via proctor you or person. Lasts 4 or 5 hours, comprised of 106 to 180 questions. Preparation time. So, um, like I said, I need to do a little research. Once again, I probably would do the Security Plus before I do the GSEC, but to be honest, I never looked at the GAC. They get a lot of respect in the game. A lot of people like that certification body, and they get a lot of respect. I've never took one of those. Gabe Take was way more search than me, so I don't know if he was in that search. Let's see. No, you didn't miss much, Gabe. We were just going over different certs: CISP, CICM, CISA. You familiar with all of them? Where do we give? What software to focus on? Once again, it's the what part of Restorely highly favored. Once again, it depends on what area do you want to go to in cybersecurity. It's GRC. Shout out to Gabe. There's I always put him in red team, offensive security penetration testing. There's a whole domain of that over there. Tech sales, shout out to Black Heights, Linux and Women's Kev Tech. So Restore highly favored depends once again where you want to get into. If you're just starting in cybersecurity, you trying to figure out where you want to go to. I think the Security Plus is a nice thing to dip your toe in. It goes over all the domains in cybersecurity to kind of get you an understanding of kind of what you might like to do. But once again, like I talked to Denise, she's got procurement, so I think she should start off with GRC and the security with risk assessments. Anything we buy, we have to do a risk assessment on that software service. We know there's everything's a software as a service and API, right? So we do have to do a security review and even contract with legal before we use that software API, whatever we're doing, moving files, right? So there's that whole procurement process that security now is actually getting inserted into, because Kaseya's we got wiped out, Move It's getting wiped out. So we wanna make sure we just kind of get in there. People, oh, that's a beautiful cert. Cyber out. Shout out to Network, bruh. What is his name? He actually does that for AWS. Lab Every Day. What's Lab Every Day? I can't even think of his name. Cyrus. Oh my God. Check out his channel. He's real big on Cisco, and he actually just went for AWS. So yeah, I do a lot of I'm actually doing a cyber review on networking, and I think they're using Cisco. So part of that, Sir Octavius, is no, that's definitely a good step, because once you get comfortable, networking is really a big part of cybersecurity, because you got to control your packets, control your network, 3-tier, how you configure your network, your subnet. So that's really the basics of cybersecurity. Yep, Dewan Lightfoot. You check out his page. He started off with Cisco. Now he works for AWS. So you can actually put Cisco VMs inside AWS. So now your on-prem and your cloud networks looks like one network, right? So I think a lot of companies are trying to master that. Then to make it look like on-prem and AWS one network, then you put multi-cloud, and you make it look like your workloads between the clouds look like one network, right? So that's something I kind of been toying with. If you look on AWS, they actually do have an advanced networking. And part of advanced networking, they talk about Cisco and that security. Once again, making it look like one network and hiring to secure your traffic going from one site to another. So yeah, too. Yep, facts, facts. So yeah, Microsoft's got every search you want. I actually started doing a little low code and no code programming. I did one Tuesday, so we're gonna actually do code inside SharePoint Teams, right? And we're gonna do it for security work. Because once again, like my man said, you need to do analytics on security. You need to uh, check things. You need reminders. One of the first things you start off with is policy lifecycle, right? So that's something you can easily do inside SharePoint. And do you know anything about this one? Let's see, which one? The Cisco Ops stuff? No, I don't know. No. Though the Cisco Ops, like I said, I read about it. I don't know anything. Network is my weakest thing. I have to, a whole bunch about Microsoft. So I do not helm. And I've been on the AWS side. I'm just starting to put my toe in the Microsoft side helmet. That, to be honest, I'm behind. On my AWS side is pretty strong. It's so broad. It's good. It is. It is. It is. Sometimes you just gotta pick something and go with it. Restored, highly favored. I agree, and it's just overwhelming. I just got lucky where I came up as a programmer. So as I progressed in there, I just kept adding stuff incrementally. Like I went from programmer to database to DBA to I was putting my stuff on a web server, so I became a web admin. Then I became an app admin because the web admin, you put your Java C# on there. So I just kind of incrementally kind of grew on it. But you're right, Restore. You just gotta kind of figure out what your background is, pick something and see if you like it and go with it, right? And two is if you pick something, those skills stack on each other. So it's not like you're wasting your time because those skills stack on each other. Let's see, cybersecurity structure. I got the CNA cyber ops back some years ago. Primary security operations. It's on DoD. Okay, shout out to Gabe. Let's see. I'll drop the link if you in a little bit, Gabe, if you want to come up. Yep, Dewan Lightfoot. Yeah, he works for AWS now. I need to reach out to him. And when I did my 6-hour interview, I didn't get it. AWS hurt my little feelings. Shout out to AWS. Shout out to Casual Economists. Let's keep going. I was surprised. I guess I'm not surprised. This on there. Let's keep going on there. 8. Certified ethical hacker. It's a valuable cert. I just don't know if I'd have put it in the top 8 of certs in cybersecurity. I'll let Gabe chime in on that. I think he has the CEH also. I don't know if I'd have put that in my top 8, but once again, I'm not a red team offensive guy. So I guess if I put my offensive hat on, I'm gonna let Gabe chime in. What's your thought on the CEH, Gabe? Is that in your top 8? So once again, a certified ethical hacker provides cutting edge training on emerging current trends in hacking for security professionals. Presented in a gamified format. Version 12 course includes 12 modules covering everything from basics of ethical hacking and solving real world hacking challenges, platforms, perspective. Once again, 4 hours. You get EC Council as training, takes 5 days to complete. Experienced candidates with at least 2 years of relevant work experience can apply to take the exam without training. Information security analysts, administration, managers. So yeah, I don't know if I'd put that in my top 8. Once again, I'm gonna see let Gabe chime in on the seat, the ethical hacker. It's Slow Friday. Okay, I'm dropping it. I'm dropping it. Let's see. Let's see. I'm a PB up in here talking. So we're gonna see if CH is on Gabe's top 8. So let's keep going. This one I've never heard of. Once again, I think this is more Gabe. Logical Operations CyberSec First Responders. This certification is ideal for security professionals who defend organization against hackers with the hands-on approach to mitigating cyber attacks. The CFR program is designed for professionals with established work command of IT, cybersecurity issues. The certification exam is issued in person or online via person view. Issues candidates do not need to submit eligibility verification documentation or application fees. The exam contains 80 multiple choice, lasts 106 just 120 minutes. Preparation times varies, can take 5-day training on available benefit to risk managers, vulnerability assessors, organizational police. Let's see. I said organizational police, organizational policies on cybersecurity and incident responders. And me and Gabe chopped it up. I just don't usually see that talent on staff unless you work for a big company. We usually have some guys look at it, but if it's something we believe is a serious hack, especially from a nation state, I got those skills, but I feel like if you miss something, you can personally get sued. So I just do not mess around with malware and viruses because if you miss something and it still is propagating through the company, me personally, I usually identify it and I tell them, hey, we need to get our the favorite firm we use or who we pick or what big consultant or what local company to who and to a lot of people get retainers, so they have stuff prepaid so they can just call it. The reason you get retainers a lot of times is if the state or the nation state's getting hacked by a national state, a nation state like China, they could be hacking 50 companies at the same time, a la Move It, right? So now you got to get on the list. So if you get a retainer, a lot of times you get at the front of the list. Right? So is it worth it? It just depends on how much your data worth. And two, a lot of times is do you have federal compliance to make you get it? So let's see. Keep going. Which one do you recommend? AWS, Azure? Any one of those, you can't go wrong. I know that's kind of a weak answer. I do AWS, but both of those have big market share. I think AWS had 38, and I think Azure was right behind them with 32. So they had most of it. And behind it, you got Google, Rackspace, Oracle, a lot of smaller towns. But those two really almost split it, Restore. So depending on what type of work you want to do, once again, I was doing a lot of DoD work, a lot of Fed work. They seem to be a little more AWS. Now I'm in the commercial space. They seem to be doing a little more Azure. So I just think it depends on what, and I don't think you can go wrong with either one of those, to be honest. Let's see, Wilton, real quick. As I'm looking for a cyber job, I'm in my world imaging where it's easy for people to fake emails and use them to commit crimes. Facts, but this is my theory that email auto generation of emails. True. There's some. No, that is true. That whole email game, they need to, like you said, figure out. Um, if you Google cat cards or they call them PIV, they actually have an X509 cert on there. So when you actually put them in your computer or your keyboard, there's a slot for a PIV card. You would have to put your 4-digit PIN on it. Then your email cert on that card links to your email. So that's I think that's the top level security. What's up, big dog? They giving you a break, man? You
Man,
work
I'm
at it, baby?
surprised. I'm sorry, what's that?
You getting a break from work and the baby?
Nah, man. Baby always. Man, actually, I gotta come back. I'm getting a phone call right now. I'll be
Yeah,
right back.
take care of that. Cool. So what's okay, come let's read a couple. So yeah, I think if you Google PIV card, Wilton, and that's what we use in the federal government. They got an X509 email cert that you have to sign for and give a fingerprint for. I think that's going to be the future, Wilton. I think a lot of states are trying to figure out how to make that happen. I think as you one of the first ways to make that happen is, and they're starting to do this with the real ID for driver's license. I think that's going to be the next step, probably in 2030. When you go get your driver's license, you're going to have to give a fingerprint. And they're going to give you an X509 email cert. They're trying to figure out how not to step on your privacy while they do that. But I think that's going to be the next move too. If anybody else want to come up, you're more than welcome. Shout out, I always bring up Gabe because we never disagree, but sometimes he's more on the big company side, small company side. He's definitely more commercial. I'm more Fed and government. So we definitely, kind of balance each other out. And I ain't scared of him and he ain't scared of me. Nah, shout out to Gabe. He'll be back. Isn't the CH more in depth? Whereas the C. Yep, that's 100%, Rondo. And you got that's the reason why I say do the Security Plus. And remember, I told the guy he didn't really know where he wanted to go, Rondo, but you're 100% right. Security Plus is going to let you hit on all those modules so you can kind of figure out what you want. But if you know what you want and you want to be a hacker, I would definitely do CEH. The only issue is, and me and Gabe will talk about that, is hacking is usually done at a consulting company. I do it from a blue team perspective just to validate the setup of the networking, validate what programmers are doing, but I'm not doing a full red team threat active, penetration test. And I think that's what CEH people do, Rondo. So I think that's a very specific job, right? So I'm not discouraging people from doing that. I'm just saying if you're trying to optimize your opportunities, I think Security Plus, once again, like you said, gives you a jack of all trades to kind of figure out where you want to go and where you need to be, Rondo. But you're right. CEH is definitely more concentrated on hacking. Would that be in your top 8, Gabe, on the red team penetration side? Forbes had their top 8, so I was just doing their top 8. Go ahead.
1 second.
You get a little feedback.
I'm all messed up today, man. Hold on.
Come on, man. You're a professional YouTuber, man. What's going on up there, man?
How about now? Can you hear me good?
Yeah, you good. You super good, man.
Okay. So the CEH in my top 8, probably not.
Yeah.
And you know why?
Why?
Because it's not really like a practical certification for it's not.
Okay.
Now, one thing that I found value in it, because I got it some years ago, I think when it was like version 8 or version 9. The value in it is that it gives you a very good high level understanding of all different attack vectors, attack surfaces, methods, techniques. So you're going to get into what cross-site scripting is. You're going to get into what domain enumeration is. You're going to get into what phishing attacks are, and that'll give you more information about what the bad guys are doing. But you don't gain any practical understanding or any. You cannot take that cert and apply it to your real job.
That's what I feel. That's what I feel about CISSP. Like, because I'm a senior guy, everybody wants you. And I think HR is knock you out if you don't have it, but it just gives you a little itch. But I have CISP calls me because they never done IT audit of your favorite word. They ain't never done stigging. They ain't never done CIS. They ain't never really done it in real life. They calling me, man. But everybody wants you to have it. So
now the good thing about it though is that, as I mentioned, it's on that 8570 list, right?
Facts.
So
CISP too,
for some of those government roles, that's something that's very highly looked for if you're trying to jump into one of those. Number 2 is that even if you put CEH into like the LinkedIn or Indeed search filter, many job postings still have it on there for non-government roles. So it's something that will help you get past the hiring filter. So that's one thing that helped me out, right? So yeah.
Let me read this next job. This is more up your line. I don't think I've ever heard of this one. The Logical Operations CyberSec First Responders, CFR 410. This certification is ideal for security professionals who defend organizations against hackers with a hands-on approach to mitigating cyber attacks. The CFR program is designed for professionals with establishing working command of IT, cybersecurity issue, The certification exam is issued in person or online via person VU. Industry candidates do not need to submit eligibility verification, documentation, or application fee. 80 questions, multiple choice, 120 minutes. IT professionals with experience in cybersecurity are familiar with the risk management, vulnerability assessment, organizational policy, cybersecurity, and incident response. That's the last one. What's
Yeah.
that? I've never heard of that. You heard of that
I've
one?
never heard of that certification. That might be something like an international cert.
Oh, facts.
CFR 4-4. Let me. I'm just gonna look it up really
Yeah,
quickly.
good point. Good point. Good point.
CFR, because there are some of those cybersecurity certs that are a lot of times more international than anything else.
No, facts, because a lot of U.S. companies, which I don't like, they do the ISO stuff, which is more of an
Yeah,
international standard. Which
CFR 410. I ain't never heard of that though.
yeah, I ain't
Never
never
heard
heard
of
of that.
that. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing
Yeah,
it on link. Let's see.
well, I'm like, well, how they
Nope.
reference?
Let's see.
That's weird. I've never heard of anything like that. So that's more up your alley than my alley. So I'm like,
I don't know anything about that. Now that's not even. Let's see. CFR.
CFR 14.
Never heard of it. Yeah, I don't see it anywhere either. So
Yeah,
that's
I'm like,
brand new to me.
so how they making it their top 8? So
No idea.
um, somebody asked me. I'll let somebody answer you this question. Do you feel like the right certification can compensate for not having a cyber or IT degree? I think you're talking about cyber experience versus an IT degree. I think certs help, but I think you need them both, especially when you're in
Yeah.
competition with a lot of people, especially if you try to get a remote job.
Mhm.
I've looked up into one, but when I asked them, I was surprised how many resumes they got because everybody wants a remote job. So you got to
Right.
come in with some, nice experience.
I, I do think that combination of maybe a bachelor's in like business or something or accounting, then you combine that with something like a security plus or something
But
that does show more. That does make you more attractive to the job market. So
Oh, definitely. But I
yeah,
think too is we have this discussion a lot, and I'm changing too. Though is I think people are trying to forego the bachelor's and trying to figure out how to get in without the bachelor's. Right? I think
yeah,
I think it once again it makes it easy, right? But if there's a million ways to get in it, right? So
yeah, yeah. I think a lot of it is about just you answer because I think a lot of times maybe the conversation about certs and degrees is detached from actual needs of organizations. So when
facts,
you are looking and searching out a company, what do they really like? What do they really need? Do they really
facts,
need somebody just with some certs, or are they looking for somebody with some level of practical or lab type of experience that can help solve their problems? They might have had an issue, like even if you just start Googling, right, you'll see or like First of Black Ops, like you had this stuff all the time. Like you go over organizations that have been hacked, organizations that have
facts.
been compromised.
Mm-hmm.
Those are some of the best places that are looking for
Facts,
cybersecurity talent. So
facts, facts.
you jump on LinkedIn, you jump on what job postings that they have, and you see some of the technologies, some of the needs, and then you start to craft some of your skill set for what that organization needs. So I think that that's another thing that people can do.
Facts. And I think that's what I'm gonna try to do more on my channel is
Yeah,
IT auditing, right? That's a need
yeah,
everybody needs. So once you get your certs, you have an understanding, but I want to create a company inside AWS and you go out there audit them, starting with the policy. Okay, this is a red
right.
4, now we're going to red 5. What's the
Hmm.
deficiency policies in there and what they need to do? Then from
Yeah,
architecture, okay, they got a 3-tier, but they don't have a WAF. So is that a
yeah,
violation of NIST or not? Shout out to Fridge in there, he a NIST guy. So I think
yeah.
that, like you said, that's when you said, okay, these certs goes with these talents. For this is what your company needs, and this is how I
Right.
can help you, right?
100%,
So,
100%.
so I think
You
that's
even
where we need to
speak
get at.
about that as it concerns compliance because
Yep.
compliance for organizations is an expense.
Oh,
Security
facts.
compliance is an expense every single year. So that means that there's money there for people to do that auditing, doing that assessments of the organization in order to be in compliance with whatever standards for that company. So
And you
looking
do
at
that type of
compliance
work. Yeah, you got to be
all the
NIST
time.
compliance or FISMA compliance. So, and two, what does that is? That means you
Yeah,
got to validate the system, make sure it's correct to meet
right.
those standards. And there's a ton of HIPAA for hospitals. There's a ton
Yep.
of
PCI. Yep.
PCI is the big one. I think it's a weak
Hmm.
standard, but everybody's using credit card. So this guy asked, and I'll take the first shot. Is there a Linux security jobs? That's really just part of cloud. So when people send up cloud and
Okay.
they put VMs on there, a lot of times they're Linux. So there's Linux hardening scripts. I'm gonna be nice to Gabe. We ain't gonna say Stiz. We're gonna see CIS, right? Let's say there's a ton of that.
I'm about to leave.
Yeah.
Drop down off
No, don't drive down. No, no. So, but CIS is a check. So those are, I think they're. Last time I looked, there was 300 hardening scripts for Linux. So,
easily.
So how is the sysadmin putting those on? You got to take Nexus or Rapid7 and scan that. Us as compliance, we got to look at them and be like, okay, SA system admins, this is what you got right. This is what you got wrong. This is your findings. This is your poem when you need to be fixed. We're in HIPAA violations. This is what you need to fix in 60 days so we can make sure we can still taking this government money, right? So that's part of IT auditing. What's your take on that?
No, man, I don't have nothing more to add. I think you said it all.
So yeah, but Linux is in there, but Linux is just part of, and that's one thing I talk about, and I got some things there. Cloud security is that whole architecture. Shout out to you, said you had the Cisco CyberOps is, what's your 3 tiers? How are you moving traffic? 5 times Cisco's the firewall, so what you letting in? What's like, it needs to be denied. What's your process for all of that? So I have to work with the Cisco expert because I'm not a Cisco expert. Now I need to know a basic amount of stuff, so when I look at the scans and look at his setup, we can have a conversation, right? So that's part of that. What does that section of the screen look blurry? I don't know. It could be my camera, John. I'll check on that. Maybe I need to get some of my Windex out. It don't look blurry to me. Do it look blurry to you? I don't know.
What part is he talking about?
It sounds like why does the screen look blurry now? I think he's talking about the middle.
Let me see. Let me look on my YouTubes.
Yeah, look on your
see if it looks blurry.
Let's keep going. It look blurry to me, John. Maybe I need to claim this stream that is top. Is that interesting? That is the top cert never heard of. Yes, but a lot of times you get certs. So do you need a bachelor insert? I think you need, but see, there's really 2 discussions we store highly in favor is when you like me and Gabe, we've been in the game a long time, right? So they're looking at our experience. So they're not gonna look at bachelors and certs as much because like Gabe said, we saying this is how we're gonna help your organization. Now, when you're trying to kick in the door, you need as much stuff as you can have because you're trying to get in the door, right? Me and Gabe, we done snuck in. Well, Gabe didn't sneak in. I snuck in the back door, man.
I snuck in too.
I've been doing this forever, man, on a humble, man. I just was at DOD and they were like, we doing security now. I was like, okay.
Right.
So I think with start as you get into the game, especially now, I think it's going to help because there's so many colleges now doing cybersecurity. There was none of that when I came out, when I graduated college in 1990, none of that shit out there. Now there's at WGU, everybody's got a course, everybody's got a something, and thousands of certs. Go ahead, man.
I hear this question because a lot of times people talk about it, bachelors or certs, or bachelors and certs, or degree and certs. I think a lot of what cybersecurity is becoming, it's almost transitioning into kind of how it is with software engineers. Because a lot of times when software engineers are looking for a role, they need to have some type of portfolio of work to show what they can do. And I think that's something that really will make you competitive is showing what type of labs have you done? What type of tools are you familiar with? What type of things can you demonstrate or speak intelligently to? So say, for instance, you created a home Active Directory lab environment. Wow. And that's not a lot, right? That's like downloading some type of hypervisor, whether it's VirtualBox or VMware, setting up all of your Active Directory within Active Directory server at your home network, and then starting to harden and configure the things, and then attacking it, and then showing things that you've done, whether in the video format or whether speaking to it, maybe blogging to it. I think that doing things like that would help a lot more with people showing that, hey, this is my value to an organization. This is what I can do. So I think that people need to focus a little bit more on that than just certain degrees.
Yeah, I guess my only thing is, and I did that years ago, is I can spin all my stuff on AWS. I can spin up a Linux. I can spin up a Windows 2019.
Right.
I got their network. Hell, I can actually put a Cisco Meraki VM inside their networking and configure it all. And a lot of times they let you do that stuff free for a year. So I don't even buy hardware. I just spin it up. Yeah. The 2 is I'm killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I'm getting comfortable in the cloud. We know everything's going to the cloud, and that's the next move. So I do all my labbing. And most times when I do a lab, it's about $3 a day,
Yeah.
$4 a day. I spin it up and just tear it all down. So that's
So even that, like PBO, like even spinning up a lab within a cloud environment, that's
yeah.
something that's valuable to businesses too,
Oh,
because
facts.
sometimes they're bringing in new technologies, they're bringing in new systems, but they don't want to just roll it out within production just overnight. One thing that
Facts.
they want to do is that, hey, maybe we do want to spin up a lab, and then you can start to scale things. You can test
Facts.
out security features, test out security patches and updates before it even goes into production. And you can do that all in the cloud. That's something that a lot of organizations need. So yeah.
Another question I'm gonna ask you this can just continue on that is I do risk assessment for the
Yeah.
companies I work for. Is 90% of the stuff we look now are cloud or cloud APIs or cloud placements now. That's going to be in Azure. It's probably 50-50 now. So for me, you got to be comfortable with that because you know this. Everybody wants to do a proof of concept. So it's easy when you don't have to own the hardware. I could just spit up what I need in the cloud, test it. If I don't like it, I could tear it down and like, okay, we need to, like your favorite, we know zero trust is hot. We need to configure it more to zero trust. You know, everybody's throwing that buzzword. So what you think on that? I just think most of your services and future software now people are doing in the cloud. Then the basic on that too is every now and then they want you to make it look like one network where your on-prem is talking to the cloud and it looks like one subnet, right? So all that's together.
It's a lot of that. It's a lot of that. It's a lot of that. Like, so understanding the technology behind all of that, especially within cloud and how these systems are talking. So networking and cloud are definitely those skills that are extremely important today.
That's gonna be
how do
my
things
next 10
talk?
years.
What environment are things running in? Yeah, all that.
Yeah, that's my next 10 years. PBO need. I'm 55 this year, so I'm letting people.
Yeah.
That's gonna be my last 10 years. I wrote Oracle for deck. I'm about to roll AWS. That's gonna be my last day, decade.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you, JR, the Fly. What do you think is the next best cert after cybersecurity? Once again, it depends on what you want to get in. So I'm gonna go first. GRC. There's a CGRC cert. I think it's pretty good to get you in that compliance game. I will pick. I have the AWS Security Specialty cert. So I can understand. I got that, sir. I'm trying to think. PM, which that PM in is a bag, even though I hate PM. If you get your PMP with a little security, because most PMs don't know how to run a security project. They get on my damn nerves. So that's a whole nother. So for me, I think I probably go CGRC. I would get one of the cloud security, one of the basic cloud, and usually they have a security specialty in there. Then they kind of get you in the door to figure out what you want to do. Then you can tell if you want to be GRC, engineering, security specialty. So you get a little movement. I'll let you chime in on that.
Yeah, man. I think it all depends on what you want to do. All depends on what you want to do. Because if you're going more government, I would say maybe you should go for that CISM or CIS. Is it CISA, CISSP?
Yes, it's three of them. It's P, which is the professional. M is management. Then A is auditing, right? So,
So I would say maybe going there if you're going more government. But if you're looking at like digital forensics and incident response, I might even recommend some of those SANS GX certs.
Oh, facts. They're nice. That's why I gave it to you. I always forget that red team. Go ahead. That red team.
Yeah, no, not even red team, but I'm talking about like if you want to go for like that incident response. So SEC 504, which is the GCIH, the GX Certified Incident Handler. I got that one. That was a really good, valuable one that kind of just showed about how am I acquiring data from environments? What is the process for incident response? How to triage and what tools are used in that trade. Right. But if you're going more red team, if you're going pen testing,
well, I would say maybe. I mean, what do you put that in? I always put incident response on the red team side. So
really? No, those are different. Well, at least that's how I consider it. So it's like incident response is like there within like when bad stuff happens.
Fine.
This is what you do. You even do like like do like some type of digital forensics, whether you're pulling apart hard drives and things and pulling off data and really understanding where they got in. But then now looking at red team, I'm thinking like more offensive security. So I would say even go hard and self-study for the OSCP. I'm saying like if you really trying to go that hard for offensive security, I say just go hard and study. There's so many different guides. People have all types of walkthroughs of what that certification looks like online. So I would say even doing that or go the TCM security. Have you heard of them? Like with Heath Adam, he has a PNPT. professional network penetration tester cert.
I put
Which
all
is
that on
really
red team.
good.
Yeah, it is. But
That's
once
red
again,
team too. Yeah.
yeah, but see what I always put it down is, and like I said, I never see those skills on site. I always see those at consult. So when we get hacked, I go, that looks funny, collar guys. So I always put that on red team. Well, I guess when I got a collar guy, I just put that on red team. Like I do the initial, right? Okay, it looked funny. We looked at it because I just told people before you came up is with you and that thing, I feel like if I miss something and the virus still out there, I could get sued. So I would just leave that alone, man. I leave that to the professionals. But yeah, I just look at that. So that's just how I look at it. But like you said, that's why I loop all that stuff is. But you're right on the responders. I say I do the management side. So once I locate it, y'all on site, y'all trying to figure out what it is. If it's calling back to China, I got to do the paperwork, like we said, breach notification in 24 hours. I got to let DOD know. If in a certain state, Cali, I gotta let them know within 48 hours. So I'm doing a management part because I got to keep them apprised until your team figure out what the hell going on, right?
Yeah.
What it is then too is you got to say, okay, I saw in the logs they stole your whole damn database. My bad, we lost everything. I'll move it, right? So comment on that. So I split those up. Man, I split those into two. But go ahead. That's all.
It's so many different considerations during an incident. That if you're a responding organization, which a lot of times they are consulting firms, right? A small or large.
On retainer. I'm gonna interrupt.
On retainer. Some of them are, some of them, like if you're talking about like school systems, like local principality, like private organizations, public organizations, a lot of them don't have retainers. So they'll jump in. So we'll jump in and that's the non-retainer price, which is much more expensive. That's a whole nother thing. Anyway, you're like coming in, and we're just going based upon the information that organization gives you. So it can go a lot of different ways, but it typically starts off with a data call.
Yeah, facts. I've done them. Yeah, I've done them. Hey, we need. Yeah. But two is, and I did the stream on that is, and I think I got an incident response on time is. As part of an engineer, I said, okay, this VM look funny. I need to put that on a forensic OU. I need to get that ready. Two is I need to be dumping memory because sometimes stuff is running, stuff getting put out of memory. So I need to have all that automated to make it easier for you. Because if you got to come and do all that stuff, number one, it might be too late. And number two, the bill going up. So if I got your shit nice and easy, so you come in with your tools and do what you do. So I try to make that. And that's the value. I'm like, I got to set up. So when Gabe come in, it's boom, boom. He don't have to look. Shit's there. I got the memory.
See, and that's all. And that's all a part of the retainer preparedness services, right?
Facts.
So not only
understand that.
So you have to. So when we onboard somebody as a retainer client, we make sure that we can get the right information in the event that we're activated. So we're like, maybe you need to get FTK Imager, right? That's a popular tool for pulling memory from an organization. We might want them to initiate some type of queries, right, within their Splunk or queries within Security Onion or something, right? We want that stuff ready. We want them to have a process and procedure ready, like an incident response document to say this is what we're gonna do.
And I'm working on one night right now. I might share the other part of that.
Let me know. I can help you out, man. Let me
know. we might chat back and forth. Maybe do another video because part of what I'm doing is it's funny you mentioned that is we're logging. So I was like, do you want me to go get the requirements for this? What the logging was? They go, oh yeah, I know they were requirements. I'm like, hell, the government got requirements. So I'm like, I went to an Active Directory. These are all the shit. Log in, log off. Stuff that was not sold. All that shit. You changed the privileged account. So you got to log all that stuff to make it easier for you to figure out what happened. If I come 100%. In, you come in and I go, I ain't got no logs and I only got 60 days worth of logs. You like, dude, I can't help you, man.
Well, then what happens at that point, it just takes more time. So then we'll say like, listen, here's a little document. Go to the affected systems that you might think and pull off it. So pull off images from those machines so that we're able to do more analysis. But it does take more time. Like we might even have, like a lot of times we'll even spin up a cloud instance to be able to collect for it. So we'll have you install agents on whatever those machines are. And those agents will collect everything and push it right back to wherever that cloud instance is for us to do our analysis. And now we can take that and pull that into other things.
AWS has System Manager, and that's what I had in my video where it shows you how to have all that stuff marked down, like 90% of what you need. But two is I need to talk to you because I'm just going by what NIST say and what the STID say. you as an organization might be like, oh yeah, but we need this on top of that, right? Because I
Right.
got specialized tools. So that's where
Absolutely.
me consulting being GCR, governance risk
Hmm.
is I got to talk to our vendors. So when they come on site, I want to
Yep.
have it much stuff as they have. So that's gonna make the bill a little light, not a little
Yeah.
lighter, but it's a little light. But
And
so
and then it
you don't
gets
want
to the
the bill.
point where, like, now that you have all this information, the technical specifics about your incident, what do you report up to the executives to make the decisions about where budget
Oh,
goes?
facts. The
Right?
two facts, and that's
Yeah.
in my plan too. Is there's
Yeah.
two, like you said, up the chain. What's the decision? And a lot of times is we're doing work for other government agencies, so we gotta let them know in
Right.
24. Something's happened, so they're gonna be pinging us
Yeah.
every couple hours. What's going on? Are we hacked or not? So you gotta have what's that community, and it gets so deep. And Gabe gonna know this is a lot of times before you send an email, our legal staff want to read that shit
Oh
because
yeah, legal is they're all in the mix. They're
because you
all
can
in the
say
mix.
something that gets everybody in trouble. So I always say,
Yes.
legal, I need you. So what I'm doing is, and I'm actually going to do a SharePoint setup, a small program to help you do that. Is in
Yeah.
there's templates that legal already signed off on. So once
Yeah.
they said it's good, we just put somebody's name and a company name in there, and it's going to be
And you
straight out.
shut the thing off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We seen that there's an event. We ain't saying you hacked. There was an event.
Right.
Here's your 24-hour notice. We are in an investigation mode. We will let you know, but
Yeah.
legal already signed off on it.
That's a fact. That's a fact. And one of the major things that you need to do, not only you, but I'm talking about just
No,
organizations
we got you.
in
Facts,
general,
facts.
is training.
Oh,
Training,
we
like
do that.
tabletop exercises, all that stuff.
I'm.
Because when it happens, you
Oh,
don't want
yeah,
to be
yeah, facts.
reinventing the wheel, doing whole new things. You want that. You want to be able to train for
I did
what the
one on
real
my
thing is.
channel, and I'm
Yeah.
leaving one. I think next month. So
Okay.
that's funny.
Tabletops. Yeah. You
Yeah, we
making a
gotta do the
big deal.
tabletop, especially the
Injects. Yep.
people know I do a lot of IRS work. IRS tells you every year you need to do a tabletop, and
Yep.
in that tabletop they want to say this certain PII got hacked. So what's your communication change? They want to see the tech guy talking to the CISO, talking to the CIO, talking to the
Yep.
CEO. They want to see what that chain of communication looks like, right? So
And
you
have
got
you
to show that in
seen
your exercise.
the scissor? They have tabletop exercises already ready, like they have injects and everything.
The
They have
funny thing is, I did
scissor
my
ready.
last one off of ChatGPT. I think I showed on my
Okay,
channel. I used ChatGPT. They wrote
yeah,
a beautiful scenario up. I was like, man, that was better than what I
I'm
would have wrote.
telling you, it's not. Listen, I use that thing for every.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes, man, if you get an email from me, it might be from ChatGPT.
Oh,
I ain't
facts. I
gonna
can't write.
lie.
PBO sucks. So everything I run, I'm running
I'm
through
telling you,
ChatGPT.
it
So that,
is
oh yeah.
buttery. It's
Oh, it
just
is.
nice.
It was
It's
so
really
good. I
nice.
was like, I did. Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful. Real quick, Brandon Rose,
Yeah,
shout out.
my
Is it
bad.
less competitive going on site instead of remote? I think they're about the same. The reason is
Hmm.
I think remote's so competitive that everybody's trying to remove the broke. So it's a little
Yeah,
competitive, but unless you're in the top echelon, you're not going to get a remote job. Because when I did the research, only 12% of the jobs are remote. I thought it would be
yeah,
much more. So I think that's why most of those people are going to end up on site. So it's very
yeah,
few people who get remote jobs because I think you got to be and I think you brought this up. You got
yeah.
to bring out a senior level.
Typically,
A lot
yeah,
of junior levels, they're gonna want to touch you, see your work. Even though
yeah,
you can do that online, I think people want to touch you for that on-site work. What's your take on
yeah.
that, man?
No, I absolutely agree. They definitely want you. More organizations are wanting you to be on site or have some type of hybrid model. Now they want you to be on site for a couple of days and then you're remote for the next couple. Because like the pandemic, it changed things, right? I
Facts,
think it changed things to hybrid rather than 100% remote. I think the
facts,
100% remote
facts.
thing was a temporary thing. But organizations, they're starting to try to bring people back in. They really
Oh,
are.
they are. I was working for the state of Indiana. That's one reason I quit. They was like,
Yeah.
you gonna work 3 days in the office? I go, that's a no. I'm not
Yeah.
doing that shit. But once again, I
Man.
got 20, 40 years in the game. But go ahead.
And it's the same way within leadership roles, right?
Facts,
So
facts.
I'm always interviewing, right? Not that I'm looking to leave anything, but
Oh
I'm
no,
always interviewing to look at new
facts,
opportunities.
facts,
Mostly everybody is like, you need to be hybrid, especially if you're
facts,
talking about like director, associate
facts.
director type of roles. It's very uncommon to see a
Okay.
director or above as remote 100%.
No, facts,
So,
facts.
it's a little difficult out here to find them.
Yeah, I was surprised how hard. For some reason, in my mind, it's just gonna
Yeah.
magically switch to remote. And two is only, I think, because I'm in the tech world, and that's so tech, and
Yeah.
a lot of people can do that remote. So you think every company's that way, and that's really only a minor percentage of the companies, especially once you
Yeah.
get out of tech. So
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, man.
let me see that other
I see
question.
John.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, man. They want to know TCP/IP. Yeah, tools. They want to know your Wireshark, Network Miner, whatever you use,
well,
Nexpose,
I got a qu-
whatever.
I got a question for you. You brought this up, and the
Uh-oh.
sad part is not sad is I
Yeah.
think the CISP failed in 2015. They were talking about the OSI model. What is it? 15 years later, I got to restudy the OSI model. And that's a lot easier because I know what
Yeah.
it is. But I'm like, damn, we're not getting any better. But your thing is, why do I got to remote memorize that? I mean, I'm not saying it right,
You
but
don't. You should
yeah, you
not.
do. For they asking you questions on the spot and people testing you on that shit. What's your thought? That's what you
What's
said. So
that for? Like, what is it for anymore? Like,
I,
why do you need to memorize any of this stuff? Like, I get it. There might be a situation where it requires a little bit less time to react, but in most cases, that information is readily available over the internet. Like, it's so
so,
easy.
but
That
yeah,
does
they
not
want
test your acumen or your ability to understand the concept. It's just because like memorization is the lowest level of thought, right? Just memorizing something like parrots remember, tape recorders. We've been able to do a lot of that with just things to be able to repeat from memory. So it's not something that's like a high level thinking at all.
But that's the thing. They still got me doing. I'm like, come on, man. I thought I gave up on this,
That's
man.
crazy because then you get to application, synthesis, like things that when you start to innovate things, that's not memorization, right? Those don't really need memorization. You need to understand how to connect processes and systems and
Fine,
ideas in order to apply it to a solution. That's
but
not memorization. That's
but
not.
I just think we caught in that old school way of learning. Like you said, we ain't elevating, man. So
Yeah.
people want you to brute. I call it. They want you to brute force. But two is like you said is as a hacker or a guy that's decent, I can change a port on any software to talk to damn near any port, damn near.
Yeah.
So I
That's
mean,
it.
so why I got me? I can fake it. I can, I can put it on any port. The software. Ask what port do you want to run it on? So that's the other thing
Yeah.
that was weird.
No, that's true.
Let's see what the next question is. That's my issue. Which one? Which one? I start with VMware. You can start with. I think when you
Okay.
talk about labs on lab, I use Oracle VM. That's real weird.
Yeah.
I taught for 10 years. We use Oracle VirtualBox. That was one of VMware.
Yeah.
So once again, I usually spin up on site AWS. So when I spin up a VM, they're actually splicing it, and I really don't see it. Right?
Yeah.
They're doing a lot of that behind the scenes. So when I spin up in the cloud, they're doing that behind the scenes. I'll probably do Oracle VirtualBox, especially if you're doing it on a PC or a lab and trying to get started. I probably would do Oracle. Oracle VirtualBox.
Yeah, Oracle VirtualBox is dope. Yeah, and you just network it to your home network, and then boom, like you can, like I got computers everywhere. I got a computer here. I'm on a computer there. I got another computer over here. You just start connecting things to your local home routers, and then you got a home network. It's not even, it's not easy. And you can find plenty of guys online that show you how to network everything, how to set up everything on YouTube or on websites everywhere. So there's plenty of resources out there to create that home lab.
No, facts. Like once again, I just do all my hardware. When I was really learning years ago, it wasn't cloud. I used to get cheap small Dell servers, and I used to have 5 of them in my guest bedroom, and I had them linked up. I had my little cheap router, but till you get good, because you really configure shit on the fly.
You really can.
People were surprised how much I learned because I was just, then I hooked up a little Oracle database someone. I had 3 tiers. Now, shout out to Ty, give me the Grandmaster, giving Gabe the Jedi Knight. He's Anakin. He about to take me out, man. I'm about done,
man,
Ty.
I'm chilling, man.
I'm about done, man.
Listen, man, I'm trying to go as high as possible, as fast as possible, so I can get out as quick as possible.
Facts.
I'm trying to just climb, get whatever I need to get and be out, man.
And that's the difference. And I talked a little bit about that. What path do you want? I think Gabe went to management. I stay more as a consultant a lot of times, but there's something, a lot of on your ceiling sometimes. I had a couple bad teams that left a bad taste in my mouth. So we talked a little bit. You get that microaggressions every now and then. PBO, PBO don't play nice with others, but go ahead.
Listen, I'm right there with you, man. I get frustrated. So it's like for this project that I'm on right now, I'm utilizing a project manager to kind of almost be like a buffer
Facts.
between me and the difficulty stuff. So,
Yeah, facts. That's a good
scheduling
way to
this
do it.
meeting and that meet. So I don't really do a whole bunch. So I don't do a lot of the project management stuff, just more like the well, at least for the project that I'm on right now.
Facts, facts.
It's just it can be very stressful when people try to make things more difficult than what's necessary.
No,
But
facts.
yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway.
restoring school. I had issue with subnets. Hell, I had issue subnet too, man.
Yeah.
Information tech to security. But two is and that's kind of where at my level, even in cybersecurity, I'm not gonna set up the network. I'm gonna work out with the Cisco specialty guy. Shout out to
Yeah.
Dewan Lightfoot. I'm working with the Juniper guy, right? So I need to understand subnetting at a high level, but I'm not subnetting, right?
Right.
A lot of times too is I just want to see they have subnets, and two, I can use Nmap or Wireshark to test the subnets to make sure the traffic's doing what I expected to do, or
Yeah.
this protocol can't get to. I can't be on a web and get to the database subnet, right? So
Right.
I don't need to understand the intricacies of subnet. I just need to know when I send this packet and try to ping the database, it should not be pinged, right? So
Yeah. And
so
then
you need
even
to understand
understanding,
it.
I
Go
was gonna
ahead.
say, even understanding some of those high level subnetting concepts, utilize Chat GPT for that too.
Oh, facts,
I
facts.
mean, it can teach. I mean, it'll teach you. It'll say like, "Hey, how to break down subnetting to this, that, and that." It'll let you know.
No,
I
facts.
actually was doing. Have you ever done varsity tutors before?
I've heard of it. I thought about doing it.
I've done it. It's not nothing super duper special. It's cool. Like it's cool for the students, but the
Yeah.
payout isn't much for the tutors.
Oh
But
no,
anyway,
I taught 10 years at a community college. I was losing
boom.
money, man.
Right?
I
I
was
know, right?
I was
So
losing money, man.
so I was literally teaching subnetting. Somebody was studying for Network Plus. So I did it, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago. And I just used Chat GPT to give me like a refresher so I could teach it to the student. And she ended
Yeah.
up passing. She ended up
Oh,
passing.
fine.
We
Fine.
did like, man, we was doing just subnetting questions like crazy. So yeah, it
I'm
was a good time.
I'm
Yeah.
getting them in CISP. They were like, what is 19258? I was like, hey, I gotta go back and look at the numbers.
Right.
It's class
Oh,
A. I'm like, shit, I ain't looked at
I
that
don't
in
remember.
forever, man. But once again,
Man.
like you said, why I gotta memorize that? But hey, they want me to know it. So I've been studying. I was like, oh man, let me see what
Yeah.
my man from Philly got. Deek in the Philly. I worked 20 years in help desk, desktop manager. I just finished the Simply Up. Shout out to Simply GRC. I'm recommending everybody that.
Okay.
This is last night. What
That's
else
what's
should I
up.
have to be marketable entry level? Once you did that, I would look at CGRC, and I'll probably bring that up. We went over
Yeah.
the top 8 certifications, so I'm about to look at the risk one, and the CGRC one real quick, and actually the
Mhm.
SIP, which is data privacy. So we about to touch on those real quick.
Okay.
I keep saying too, the Simply GRC, I want to create a company on side AWS, and you actually use those skills to audit a company inside. I build an AWS like we talked about, looking at the policy, looking at the procedure, and what we just talked about. Do they have a 3-tier subnet? What is their subnet range? Can I get from the internet to your database? Are you setting up your subnets right inside AWS, right? So those are how you use those skills and actually audit a company, though. But shout out to him. I'm a
Yeah.
big supporter of him.
So
Let's keep going. What's TechRX? What are your popular databases for cybersecurity professionals?
databases.
I well,
I
I
don't know.
I don't know. I have popular databases because I program. I'm an Oracle guy because the government still pushes it out a lot.
Mhm.
Postgres and MySQL because they're probably the top 2 cloud databases that are
Yeah.
relational. If you go non-relational, you got to do MongoDB, super hot. Even though I'm a relational guy, you got to understand that non-SQL now. So
Yeah.
from attack, so those are probably the 3. Then 2 is if you're trying to get to the next level and get to auditing. People using the what's under Bitcoin? I can't even think of blockchain. You gotta get that
Blockchain.
blockchain skills.
Mm.
So I think those are the 4 from a cybersecurity standpoint. Once again, since I do auditing, CIS, STIGs, and I think the
Right.
NSA have checks for those databases. So I just go through those checks that they blessed to say they're hardening. Each of the cloud has stuff you can buy and say, I'm paying extra for it to be FISMA DOD hardening, and you pay
Yeah.
extra, and they do all that hardening for you. So once again, I'm an Oracle guy, SQL Server because Microsoft hot. Then I would do the 2 open source, MySQL Progress, MongoDB for NoSQL. Then a lot of people are trying to use blockchain. I don't think it's appropriate, but I think a lot of people use the blockchain,
No,
but
I feel you.
because it's hot. Because it's hot. Shout out to my man, Fridge.
Mhm.
Let's see.
I was just about to say
Go ahead.
what
Oh,
you said.
Okay. Those are people forget it because I programmed for 15 years. So those are kind
Yeah,
of what I'm comfortable with. Once again, DoD for 20 years, you couldn't run a big project on
right.
a SQL Server. You had to do it on Oracle because they had the best security. But
No, I
now, but
I
go
ain't do
ahead.
nothing. I was
Now
gonna
you
say
could.
so I don't know.
That's hybrid next wave. Let's see. Derek Spitz. Yes, hybrid is the next wave. Friend of my AT and networking this year. They just made him go hybrid 3 days in office. Boo, boo. They want to utilize office space. Facts. And I put that in the video. I
Hmm.
think it's disingenuous, Derek. I think people, especially the big companies, because we gave you tax money so you to hire people and buy office spaces in downtown big cities. That was part of what you that's part of those tax abatements. So if you don't hit those
Yeah,
numbers, you got to get that money back, Derek. So I agree with you on there.
yeah.
Let's see. I don't have a lot of space. I'm trying to elaborate. I do mine on AWS or Azure. Actually, you on AWS because I know that that's what you can do. Restore high favor, and you can do it for a year free. Just set up
Hmm.
with your email. As long as they're gonna give you something small, and that's all you need. You can spin up VMs, databases, firewalls. You can do all that for free for a year. So that's what I would recommend if you don't want to do which me, everything's virtual. I do everything virtual. And like I said, most of that stuff, and if you Google those labs inside of AWS, they tell you this lab in 4 hours is gonna cost you $3.50. So when you do those labs,
Mm.
they give you the price. So that's what I do, right? Trying to get better. I got to start labbing more. CISP been taking all my time, but I gotta
Yeah.
get
Oh,
back
you
to it.
going for the CISSP?
Yeah,
Okay.
but my study ain't going well. I took a couple practice tests. I was like 73, 75, like that's passing, but I need to be a little
What you need to
higher.
pass? What you need to pass?
72, 72.
Okay.
But you
Okay.
know, a lot of time the practice exam is a little easier than a real test. So I like to be getting
Mm.
85s before I do it. So
Yeah,
I'm
I
slowly
feel
getting
you.
there, man. I've been focusing and studying a little harder finally. I
Yeah.
love
I was
government
thinking
work.
about it, but I don't know.
Oh, it's brutal, man. But two is I'm old, man. I just don't memorize like I used to. That's what my 90-year-old mom used to say. I
Yeah.
don't memorize. Yeah, man. Sometimes I'm thinking I'd have had this in like 2 or 3 days. I'm like, this week two. I'm still
Yeah.
struggling, man. So but two is a lot of times I'm like, I'd be like, why am I doing this? I got years of experience, man. Why am I killing myself? So
I know with them. I mean, they requested a lot. They
they
do
do.
request it a lot, but yeah,
Especially, and when you do those big engagements, especially commercial or government, they want to know how
yeah,
many people got CSP, how many people Security Plus. They actually
yeah.
counting the search for the people you send in.
You know what? I probably the way that I offset it. Why I don't get access because I had got a couple of years ago. I got a master's in cybersecurity
Oh, fact.
technology. So a lot of times, so if and I'm not saying that's the way to go because I know the CISSP is probably the cheaper route. I'm sure, but that might be a way to offset it if you do have a master's or something in it.
A lot of times
So
I got an MBA,
yeah,
I put masters, and I think people make an assumption it's in cyber because I've been doing
yeah,
cyber
ain't
so
nothing
long.
wrong with that.
So I
Shoot,
tell people I got a master. Well, a lot of times now MBA got concentration in security and IT.
yeah,
But mine's
yeah,
so old, it wasn't no concentration back there.
right,
My
right,
concentration is finance, right? So
yeah,
I think I get around that kind of like you said. I just say MBA, and people just assume it's some kind of
mhm,
IT certification concentration with it. I'm like, nah, man, I do
right.
straight numbers, man.
No, I feel
So
you. Actually,
nah,
PBR, I gotta drop down, man. Let
that's
me go
cool,
ahead and
man.
get to a little bit more work. But thanks for
Yeah,
having me, man. And
I probably need to.
I'll stay chiming in. Uh-huh.
Nah, good look. I probably need to be doing some work, but I'll let you.
No,
I'm
you
just gonna
good.
ride.
Shoot,
I'm gonna
I'm
ride it
chilling.
out. Nah, I feel
All
you.
right,
I
man.
appreciate you, man.
Peace.
All right.
Hmm.
But yeah, Ty, I love government work because I always say tax money is infinite. Once again, sometimes it's hard to get into. Especially if you got a military background, it makes it a lot easier. But if you're coming off the street, I'll usually go through a consulting company. There's certain companies that are body shops. They just trying to put a body with a clean, which actually is a billable resource. So if you go with a khaki, I'm trying to think of body shops. They're just looking for you to have the right search, and they're gonna put you in there, right? So that's kind of how I snuck in the doors. And I've worked at consulting companies. I've never specifically worked for the government. I've worked for consulting companies that worked at on government installations. So once again, I always say tax money is infinite, so I get in there. What would you say is the benefit of working in the government versus private? I think government. I got to be. I I I think government is a little more open, a little more person friendly because they don't pay as much, right? So they're actually hook you up and train you, especially if you're in a like I'm in Indiana, so it's the capital. So there's a lot of government contracts, DoD installations here. So that's actually how I got into that service and how I got in there. What's up, Chaos Rain? What's up, man?
Hello,
Chaos.
man. You hear me? Is my
Yeah, I
volume good?
can.
Are this
What's going
prison?
on?
I'm good. I'm
D-
good. I'm good. I'm good. Hold on a second. Let me set my volume properly. All right, can you better now?
Yeah, I can. You crystal clear.
Yeah. I know you're doing cybersecurity and of nature. Oh, this prison? I thought this restream. Look like the prison symbol.
That's sure. That's on you. You got a prism symbol up. That's not me. I don't know if it thinks I'm on Prism. I'm on Restream, so I don't know if you're reading it as Prism, but
No, I see the like like the avatar. What the hell this is?
yeah,
I want to
yeah,
change that. I don't want a prison symbol. Okay. Anyway,
that's you. Man. How you
so
doing, man?
what's going on? First of all, how things?
It's going all right, man. It's Happy Friday. Just trying to get over with. Decided to go live real quick. Didn't know I was gonna be on this long, but just kind of rolling through.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That's cool. That's cool. I mean, well, it's useful information for those that want to,
Oh, facts. Just trying to give out a little information. If people want to get into IT cybersecurity for that to get in,
Mhm.
go check out Chaos Rain. Put your stuff in the chat, man. He gives you that information. You know that
Yeah. I give a lot of things.
Yeah, red pill, blue pill, women, all that. I don't give none of that. I'm too old. Go to Chaos
Yeah.
Ray to check him out. I'm not giving that out on my channel. Go
Yeah,
check him
it be
out.
like that sometimes. Hold on.
Oh, we need a little everything, so it's all
Yeah.
good, man.
Let me put some things in the chat so that people
Yeah,
know.
do that. Go check my man out. If y'all need that info, like I said, PBO20, he just focusing on tech. So let me answer this real quick. Once again, I think government's a little linear. It's a little easier to get to. The pay's not going to be great, but I was surprised though when I went to government. They had a lot of the up to date technology. I thought it was going to be outdated. Once again, I was in the Midwest, so it picked up. Private pays better. Competitions, especially in cybersecurity, out the chain. There's a lot of people trying to get in cybersecurity, trying to use those skills. So that's for me. That's the main difference. If I was just starting out and I was trying to squeak in, I'd probably try to go government for a couple years. When I worked at the government as a consultant, I worked for the private industry, but they would train young guys. After 3 years, most of the young guys would leave. They wouldn't try to get the pension seriously. They were doubling their salary because they were letting them touch Cisco. They were touching Oracle. They were touching cloud. They was in AWS. They was in Azure and government. But once they got those skills, they couldn't pay them, and they were doubling. And the vendors were coming through cherry picking them too. So that's
Mhm.
what I believe between the government versus private, John. Let me know if that Gilbert. Let me know if that answers your question. But I believe that's the differences. Like I said, I was on site at um, a government assignment, but of course, I was working for a private consulting company. Answer some question.
Kudos, master. Yeah,
Okay,
should
shout out
upgrade
to
my degree associates to bachelor's. Yeah, a bachelor's will help.
Yeah, I always do bachelor's if you can, if you can afford it, especially if your company's gonna pay for it. The more credentials you got, the better. Because remember, Ty, you're in competition with people, right? So if we're the same and I got a bachelor, you got an associate, right? Bachelor's gonna win, right? If they trying to struggle to figure out where that close. So, and then us, so we always gotta have a few more credentials, man. So that's what I would say, Ty. The more you have, the better. Once again, for people don't know, is I taught college for 10 years. I have an MBA. I have a bachelor's in computer science. I have 4 AWS certs. My dumbass let Security Plus expire, so I'm working on my CISSP now. So even at my age, you got to keep those up because you're in competition with people. And I'm trying to work remote, and everybody's trying to work remote. So everybody's trying to get
Mm-hmm.
those jobs. Can you do
Or you
both?
trying to get back to remote? One time when it was lockdown, you were remote. Was he?
I'm still remote. I'm still remote. I'm
Okay.
still remote. I just want to stay remote. You can do both work. Yeah, yeah, that's what I did. Shout out to that. I worked at a government installation. I worked for a private contractor. I never specifically worked for the government, even though I was in a government site for 10 years. They offered me a job at DoD, but it wasn't paying what I could work in private. Then I worked as a consultant 10 years at a state agency, and I did that for 10 years. They offered me another job, and I just wait. I made way more than that in doing consulting work. I actually made more than the CISO, and I was a consultant. So It's just that private pay, especially if you work for one of the big consulting companies. They get paid. So Rondo Mondo, I have no idea. I need to go look at that GRC. I'm just familiar with the CGRC. I heard good things about Osaka. I just don't know about the individual certs in there, Rondo Mondo. I'll have to do some investigation of that. Should I check out my man right there, Chaos Rain? Let's see. We need a voice chat, PBO. We cool. Just reach out to me, Ty. You got my email. Yeah, check me out. ProfessorBlackOps@gmail.com. That's cool. Oh yeah, shout out to WG. Thoughts of W. Oh, WGU's the truth. I work with 3 people from WGU. I like their curriculum and I like most of their classes. You actually take a cert out to enter that class. I work with one guy. He had 5 certs because each class he went through WGU, they made him get the Network Plus. They made him get the A Plus. They made him get the Security Plus. They made him get the Project Management Project Plus. So now MGTOW University, WGU actually is the truth. Once again, I work for a community college. I think that's at the top of community colleges for cyber and IT. I think WGU, it's well respected in the industry. And once again, like I said, I worked at 2 or 3 installations and assignments, and people with WGU were there, and they seem to know what they were doing. So now, respect to WGU. Let's see. Yes, I feel you going through some stuff. Facts. Let's see. Why is government pay so low? I think it's because it's tax money, C-Real Act, and I just think since it's tax money, they try to keep people in a certain band because they don't want taxpayers to get super upset. But because it's weird, I've been there where they could pay me more as a consultant working because I'm gonna be on there a fixed amount of time than they could pay a government employee. They expect me to have more skills, but that's a good question. It's just always been like that, especially Fed's pretty decent, but once you get down to the state, it gets really low. The Fed's not too bad, but still, I could probably make 30-40% more by going private. I want remote work, but you have to be senior level. No, I wouldn't say you have to be senior level. They do. I seen middle level work that's remote. And 2, it depends on the company. I see some mid level companies, especially fintech and medical. They're using remote work as a perk. Instead of you going to Fang or Google, you might take 10% less or even 20% less if you can work remote. So I see that certain companies restore. So you just have to find that company, right? Like I said, I work at a fintech. I guess I'm at a mid-level to senior, but we have some junior people that are working remote. It's not a lot of them restore tech, but government get free money. That's not free money, but yeah, government tax money's infinite. That's what I always say. When there's a recession, I try to go work at the government. But yeah, I guess they don't want to throw it away too much, so people won't be mad. But it's interesting. That's true, but I always worry, man, because Detroit declared bankruptcy, TechRX, and a couple other states declared bankruptcy. So you got to be careful because when their states went bankrupt, those pensions went away. But you're right. I see that a lot of times. If I see a guy make it to 5 or 6 years, the Spexy thing is at the state. I thought about doing that. If you work for 10 years, you get a 40% pension. Then they would leave and go work for a private company, work there 30 years and get another pension. But I would be careful with those government pensions. For me, I turned it down because the pay was so much better in private, even with them having a pension. I didn't think it added up and balanced out TechRX, to be honest. When I ran those numbers, it was like, shit. What you think Gov would pay you more? Would you think government would pay you more? Not the case. No, I guess I've been in this so long. I didn't expect the government to pay you more. That especially too is I just interviewed with AWS. I didn't get it. That West Coast Fang money, that is crazy money, man. I make good money, but it was like double what I made. I interviewed with AWS. It's called The Loop. I did a 6-hour interview. I did a senior. This Indian guy liked me. He said, "You want to go for a mid-level?" He said, "I think you can do the mid-level. I hire you. You can work your way up to senior, right?" So he wanted me to continue with the interview. I looked it up. Mid-level for AWS is L5. I think it was 346,170 base. I think it was 80,000 in stock option every year, and I got a $30,000 signing bonus for AWS. I didn't get it right. That 6-hour interview was brutal, but that AWS, Azure, Meta, Google, IBM, Oracle top money. That's some crazy money, man. I might try again. I probably will, man. I ain't got much time left, but that I call it fang money. That shit's crazy. And it's remote too, man. Come on. That's the real bag, man. I thought I was making some money till I looked at what AWS and Azure was paying. I'm like, oh, PBO ain't making no money. Shout out to Black Heights. He be talking about them 300,000, 400,000. Women in Linux, man. That's some big money. Let's switch over to this risk real quick. I need to get my ass back to work. I've been up for 2 hours. I was just taking a lunch break, but let's keep rolling, man. We're going to keep rolling. This is the other one. I think my man in there, Asaka, that's what he's talking about. Variety of CRC examinations, including group training. So this is the risk. This is the risk version of CISP. A lot of companies are asking for risk because data privacy is getting out crazy. So this is one of the I think is trying to figure out CISO, yeah, but that is the CRS. That's the risk one. Let's see. I guess I need to do a better job. I'm doing it on the fly. But basically, this is the CISSP for risk. Once again, I think this is definitely a good cert. Once again, I think it's a hidden gem. A lot of companies are going risk, and I think they're that's great. So these are expensive though. If you Google that in Indeed, you'll see quite a few companies that does risk. So what is risk? CISP is talking about security. Other part of security is if I download this app, if I use this software, it's supposed to be FISMA, DOD, or HIPAA. What is the risk of running this in our infrastructure, right? How to quantify that and just not say it looks risky, right? So I think the GRC, that, and my man asked for it up there, that's the risk part of that. Let me switch back over so y'all can see that risk, have it come up. Let me back up. But yeah, so I think that's another search. Somebody asked me which search would I do after Security Plus risk. If you didn't want to do the CRP, and two is we were talking about somebody in procurement. I think the risk probably would be more important because you're buying software in the risk part. So those three, CISM, CISP, CISA auditing, then risk. I think those four together, right? Then the other one is another one that's kind of a lot of people are not familiar with. Of course, I'm doing this off the fly. CIPP is data privacy cert. Let's see if I can find it. There it is. I think that's another hidden one. Let me switch over. Another hidden one. CISPP. And that's data privacy. Companies like we talked about AWS, they're in every country. So I do assessments. So we do business in Canada. Canada has a different privacy. Asia has a different privacy. There they go. Canada. The US has a lot of people doing GDPR. CCPA is California. So there's a lot of different privacy understandings that you need to be aware. So the CIPP is the data privacy version of the CISSP. So I think this, and I'll probably do a video on that. I do a lot of data privacy now with security because I look at contracts, I look at procurement. I work for a company that can get data in Canada and in Europe. They had a few things in what was that? Brazil had their own data privacy. So since you're doing business in those countries, you need to understand the privacy requirements in those countries, right? So I think the CIPP, you see it right there, practicing privacy. That'd probably be on my top. That'd be in my top 8, probably number 4, especially at a senior level. Once again, I think it's hit. And the crazy thing is, I'm gonna bring some on because I talk to them all days. I talk to lawyers all day. If you asked me 10 years ago if I would be sitting down with lawyers, I would have told you no. But so it just as things grow. Okay, let me see that it probably AI risk cert will be held. Oh, facts. Yeah, I'm understanding AI. Probably take those AWS machine learning and other certs to get a little better in that. But this video step, have you heard? I've heard of Cloud Gurus. Yeah, all my stuff I always stay up. If you go to my channel, if you go to my history, the only bad part is not bad part is restore highly favored. I got a lot of videos, so you would just have to search for them. But no, this video is be up all my videos. I've never taken a video down. My stuff is just always tech, and like you said, I don't try to resell it as a different level or something in something else. So no, it's good. It'll stay up. So like I said, I'm gonna drop the link one more time. See if somebody else want to come up, then I'm about to get back to work. I'm like, oh my God, I thought I was gonna be on about an hour 15, but now shout out. There was a good question, so I always enjoy. And two, once again, to go to my about page, you can see me, ProfessorBlackOps@gmail.com. Reach out to me. We can chat it up. We just use this software. We just want to be live. We can look at each other and see what's going on. I've done it with a few people in the chat, so that's kind of my goal to do a couple every week. I have to take a GDPR train my company up. Yeah, facts. GDPR. I got a GDPR video if you want to go check it out, Sir Octavius. Yeah, GDPR is kind of different. I'm going to do a CCPA video, which is super close. They're based their stuff on GDPR. Service versus a business and how you dictate it, how you deal with cookies and when you really delete. Sir Octavius. So yeah, that was real interesting when I was working with our legal staff talking about GDPR. I was surprised, but yeah, GDPR. A lot of states, CCPA is really based on GDPR. To be truthful, it's very little differences, Sir Octavius. But yeah, that's definitely a hidden gem. And if you go to Indeed and Google GDPR, there's a lot of GDPR jobs out there. So, you want to say anything else, Chaos Rain, before I get out of here, man? I think he's working. So I stay shooting.
No, nothing else.
No, that's cool. Thanks for coming up. Check my man out. He dropped his link in the chat. Go check out his channel and subscribe. And he's growing, making it happen.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
I appreciate it, man. But once again, GDPR, CCPA. So, Sir Octavius, I did a GDPR. I'm hoping to do a CCPA one on Sunday. I'll probably do it next week because I really want to talk to the attorney I work for, make sure I'm getting CCPA. Virginia just released one that's tight, and New York just did their data privacy. Seems to be harder than GDPR. So I'm going to do those four, Sir Octavius, because once again, I'm trying to get better at data privacy, understand it as part of cybersecurity. And I did a video of, I think, cybersecurity with contracts and data privacy. So I've done a few of those videos. Sir Octavius of Williamsburg. But yeah, that's definitely a good thing to have. And definitely a good thing to add to your resume, that data privacy. Check out that CIPP right there. Sir Octavius is something you might want to look through. That with that certification, and a lot of people, and most multinational companies are really having to do data privacy, because when you start going to different countries, once again, Britain has one. I'm reviewing Canada right now. I might probably do a video on it. So once again, there's a ton of that out there. Sorry, Octavius. So that's definitely a good move. Once again, I have a GDPR video. If you go to my channel and go to my lives, that's probably been 2 months ago. But yeah, go check that out. Once again, and I did it too with AWS, because AWS shows what services are GDPR approved. So when you create your architecture, you got to make sure it's GDPR approved. So it tells you what services you can use or not use, or which ones you will have to modify to make it GDPR compliant, because you got to use certain level of encryption when you use GDPR. So once again, I'm back out. PBO thought he was only going to be on for an hour, so he got to go do some work before he get fired. I enjoyed everybody coming through. I appreciate you. Shout out to my man. He gave $5 for the barbecue fund. Let me go give him a special highlight before I get out of here. I know he gave $5. There he is, my man, John Gilroy. I always support $5 for the barbecue fund. I was not blurring anymore. Clearing out the tips, keeping the camera like that. Facts, man. I'm working on my setup, man. I got a ring light. I got a baby ring light. So, John, I'm taking the $5 and put it towards a ring light, trying to make it happen. Trying to get my studio up there with the big dogs, man. Shout out to Gary. Shout out to Keep It Techie. Shout out to Women in Linux. Shout out to Black Heights. I need to ping him real quick. He's supposed to be doing a favor for me. I gotta go ping Black Heights. But now, once again, check it out. I'm gonna figure out what time I want to come on every time so we can have a schedule. You welcome, Casual Economist. I got you. I gotta go ping my man. Gotta go ping. I appreciate y'all. Reach out to me, Ty. We can definitely do a chat, anytime. Once again, ProfessorBlackOps@gmail.com. This is the third day. I'm going to make sure I look at my email today. I'm going to make sure ain't nobody looking for me. I'm supposed to be working. Everybody have a good weekend. Thursday, I'm sure I'll be live probably Saturday and Sunday. I appreciate you, John Gilroy. But yeah, check them out. Once again, I'll try to get my man. Definitely go check my man Struggle Security out. Definitely go check his channel out. He's doing big things. I always like to bring him up because we got a nice balance. He's I always call him red team, offensive security. I'm usually more blue team defensive, but we both got to be kind of good sized. And he's in management. Talk a little bit about microaggressions, that part of management versus the technical side. So I always enjoy when he comes up because we got a nice balance. We don't need to agree on everything. We grown men, but we usually kind of in the same ballpark. And if we disagree, we just agree to disagree, man. Ain't no big deal, man. I came here to help a lot of people. Once again, PBO got to do some work before he get fired. Everybody have a great weekend. You will see me. Check me out. I'm going live Saturday and Sunday, and I need to pick a time that I'm going to go live. I'm Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern time, but I need to pick a couple more times to go live. Once again, everybody have a great day. I'm out.